What up? So today's video is not going to be about cars. Today's video is going to be about military, and it's going to be in particular to a shrine that's about 150 years old. So the shrine is called Yasukuni. Yasukuni Jinja is also what is very famously known as. It's basically Yasukuni Temple. So this temple was founded in 1868 by an emperor named Emperor Meiji. Emperor Meiji had the shrine founded right after the Boshin War. So Boshin War was a civil war in Japan that Emperor Meiji was the leader of the Empire of Japan at the time, and they fought against a group of samurai that were called the Izo. I'm not sure if that's exactly how you say it, but I just head out to Tokyo for a few days, and then check out the shrine, check out the museum that they built around there. So to me, growing up as a kid, I always wanted to be in the military. I didn't know what branch I wanted to be in, but I knew I was going to be in the military at some time in my life. So it's something that really means a lot to me to see these kind of museums. A combat veteran, I'm a United States Marine with tours to Iraq and Afghanistan. So going out here to see this temple, it does mean a lot to me. So I hope you guys like this video. This will be a little bit different than the car stuff, but yeah, I hope you guys like it as much as I do. So alright, let's check it out. Go to Yasukuni Shrine. I'll grab some breakfast. Stop was in Shibuya. Shibuya is a big marketplace, very famous in Tokyo. They had kind of like a torii gate at the entrance of this marketplace that's very famous. Giant red ball right there. Some statues on the inside of those cages. It was really cool, very, very crowded, very packed, but it was beautiful, man. It was pretty cool to check it out. This was at the first station, so still on our way to the shrine itself, but this was the first stop that I wanted to show all of you. So so this street caught my eye because there's a lot of paintings and they look kind of like old school, so I wanted to stop by this street, check it out. The buildings looked a lot older than the typical buildings that I was looking at while I was there in Japan, and different flags and different paintings and stuff. It looked really cool. So I don't know, I kind of like this old school style. I don't know what you guys think, but it's something that I like. A bronze statue. It's a war monument of a samurai, and this was, as soon as you get out of the train station, you see that statue as you're walking up to Yasukuni Shrine. It was freaking awesome. It was beautiful. Another giant torii gate here. This one is so oxidized and weathered, it kind of tripped me out. It was more of a greenish than it was a copper or bronze, whatever it was initially made out of. But right there in front is Yasukuni Shrine. I'm trying to show you guys the oxidation on here. But this is walking up to the shrine now, and man, it's a trip. So that spot right there, Japanese people believe that you need to cleanse yourself before you enter the shrine. So I did my cleansing, and now we're walking through the inner garden here of the shrine. So I can't actually take video when I pass that gate up there because out of respect for the souls and the people that were enshrined, they don't like video. So the shrine itself was beautiful for being 150 years old. Now I'm headed over to the museum, check out the museum, and see what the museum's about. So again, more of these old statues, cannons and stuff like that. It's kind of cool to check all this stuff out. So one of the really cool parts about this temple, or this museum actually I should say, is that they actually have a kamikaze plane. So kamikaze plane, for those of you that don't know what a kamikaze plane is, kamikaze plane was the planes that the Japanese actually flew directly into boats or into ships or whatever the case may be. They were suicide dive bombers basically. So it was interesting to see that, to see one of those planes in person. That kind of, you see them in movies or whatever, but to actually see them in person, like, I don't know, it tripped me out, but it was cool. It was really cool. One thing I learned today too was that Mitsubishi actually created the engine and the foundation for these planes as well. I never knew that. I always knew Mitsubishi was a big company, but I didn't know they actually made the planes back in the day. So I thought that was kind of cool. So this was another bomber, dive bomber, kamikaze plane here. This one was recovered and then restored in, I think, 1980, somewhere around that time frame. But it was kind of cool to see this, man. I mean, like I said, to me, it just trips me out to see all this kind of stuff. So, reading the letters, like I was saying, reading the letters from these dive bombers, the kamikaze plane pilots, was a trip, because they knew that they were going to die. They knew that their whole point of being in that task or that special unit was to commit suicide, basically, right? But they don't see, the Japanese at the time didn't see it as, well, we're committing suicide or whatever. They saw it as, I'm doing something honorable for my country and for my emperor, right? So everything back in this day, was for the emperor, and it was an honor to do this for, the emperor. And by this time, Yasukuni Shrine was already established. Again, Yasukuni Shrine was established in like 1868, 1869, and World War II, when this was going on, and these pilots were riding home to their parents, one of the things I kept noticing is almost every single one of those pilots mentioned Yasukuni Jinja. And basically they were saying, please, they're telling their parents, like, hey, this is it, and I'm not going to make it, so please come visit me at Yasukuni Jinja. And it was just a trip, man. Like, it's really a trip to put yourself in the shoes of the Japanese and the mindset that they had back in that day. I mean, any military person has their own mindset, but yeah, it's a trip to actually put yourself in those shoes and then see all these tanks, see the cannons, see the war machines that they used back in the time in those days. It was pretty cool. So some of these pieces, some of it is just messed up from rust, but a lot of it is messed up from actual gunfire or cannons or missiles or whatever the case may have been, shrapnel, whatever hit it back in the day. So it was, I've seen it firsthand in real life scenarios with Humvees and tanks that we have out in today's military in the Marine Corps. But looking at the stuff, like, I don't know, it trips me out, because I'm looking at this stuff, right, and I'm thinking, what is our stuff going to look like to the people, to my kids or to my kids' grandkids or their grandkids or their grandkids? You know what I mean? Like, to me, that's what I really it just trips me out a lot to think about all this stuff. And it just amazes me how well Japan did it, how good of a job that Japan did in preserving all of these cannons, all these weapons, all the planes. Like, it was just really good. It was just a big cannon that they had on the ship itself. Pretty cool. So most of the museum I couldn't film in. There was only certain parts that they allowed me to film, but I try to get as much as I can for everybody. So this was a 20mm machine gun that was on that Mitsubishi plane that I showed you in the beginning of the museum portion, and that was used in kamikaze planes. Some of the ships that they had, models of the ships that they had, destroyers, aircraft carriers, stuff like that. Yeah, so again, just the preservation of all of this stuff is just amazing. Japanese aircraft carrier. So this was a model of the Japanese planes, the Zero fighter that you saw, and then that dive bomber that I showed you guys. And it was just like a 3D model, and the background with the Japanese rising sun. It was pretty cool.